Scott, thank you for joining us. Building on the positive result against Stockport, we travelled to Wrexham this weekend. Can I get your thoughts ahead of that game?
Yeah, obviously another tough game. You know, we played Stockport last week, which was second in the division, and now we play Wrexham, who are top. So it doesn't get any easier. So, they're obviously a good side, and you know they've done unbelievable really throughout the seasons and certainly of late. And yeah, they're a really strong side. So we know it's going to be a tough game, but we're in a good place ourselves. We feel we're playing well. Certainly in the last game, and we've got a lot of work into the players this week in terms of how we want to attack this game. And I feel that the training sessions have gone really well. But of course, it's putting it into practice on the Saturday. So I'm hoping that we have that, and we have a real aggression about us, how we play. And I think if we do everything right, we'll be fine.
Yeah, as you said after the game, we went toe-to-toe with one of the best sides in the division. And as you've already said there, we'll be doing that again this weekend. So there's plenty of positives to build on from Saturday, isn't there? As, again, we face some really tough opposition.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the message from me is to build on what we did last week. And again, we played against a good side. And for me, we dominated the game and potentially had more or more clear-cut chances than probably Stockport did. I think our XG was slightly higher in the game. So when we dominate the ball and have a higher XG, it's always a positive, even though we ended up not getting the result we wanted. Obviously, the draw's a good draw still against a good side. But this is a different game against different opposition. You know, they have a certain way of playing. They don't mind you having the ball, but they find a way of winning a lot of games. But we've got to make sure that we nullify that, and we've got to make sure that we make their keeper do some work.
Yeah, football's often about fine margins. Do we read anything in at all to the fact that they played Tuesday night and we've sort of had a week off? And I suppose, if anything, it's given you a chance to watch them more closely than their last game.
Yeah, it was Monday night, actually. So, I watched the game, actually enjoyed the game. I thought two really good sides. Actually, Wrexham set off really well in the game. And then Birmingham kind of got real control of the game later on. But it was a good game, two really good sides. Enjoyed it. I think I finished watching it around 11:30 at night, because I'd have been stopping it, pausing it, taking notes and sending the notes through to my analyst. So yeah, it took me a long time to watch that game, but actually enjoyed it. It was a good game. And does it make much difference? No, because it was Monday. No, I think not. I think by the time they get back and recover from that, their preparation would have been probably very similar to ours. So no, won't make a jot of difference, I wouldn't have thought.
We saw some very encouraging performances for some players that started on the bench at the weekend. Is there sort of any sort of chance that we might see them start? Are you sort of looking to, without giving too much away, will you be looking to sort of freshen things up, or do you think?
I think there's always a chance when the players come on and do well. I think there's always a chance that you have to give these players opportunity. So yeah, I think there is. I think there is a chance that we could maybe see a difference. Certainly in one position, if not two.
Yeah, and we've obviously had an extra week. Are we any closer to seeing sort of some of the players who are sidelined, or do you think there's still sort of a few weeks there?
Yeah, I think Dion's probably a little way off still. We kind of hope that he's getting somewhere close, and he seems to go backwards a little bit. So we're still a number of days, if not maybe weeks, away from him being fully fit. Gav Houlihan is getting closer by the day, trained fully today. Maybe too soon to include him in the squad. We'll have to think about that over the next 24 hours. But yeah, Gav's getting really close now. Apart from that, we're not far off full complement. Obviously, Rolls is suspended, so he will be missing for the game as well. But we're not too far away now.
Cool. Well,
yeah. From what you've seen from Wrexham this week and this season, have they changed much from last year? Obviously, you played them twice last year.
No, very similar actually.
Yeah,
very similar. They're just good. Listen, they're very, very powerful. They have a real kind of know-how how to win games, and they're happy for you to have the ball. I think 2 games we played them last year, we had 68% possession in both games and lost both. So they're happy for you to have the ball. They block it up quite well. There's times when they press as well. There's times when they really press hard and fast. They did it Monday night against Birmingham, and I thought the times that they pressed, they looked like they could steal. So we've got to make sure that we're really focused on the way we build our play. but they block up well as well. But certainly when they get the ball, they can really hurt you really quickly as well. You know, they send the ball forward, and they get bodies forward. They like crosses. You know, they like to put balls in the box. And of course, they've got at the moment 2 forwards who are a real handful, and well, actually 3 forwards who are a really handful. One's kind of coming off the bench at the moment. You know, so we know it's going to be a really tough game. But I have confidence in my players. We've worked really hard this week. We've put a game plan together. If we execute that game plan almost perfectly, then we have a chance to get something from that game.
Yeah, and do you have to prepare differently for a team that lets you have the ball? I know you like to have the ball, but is it like a slightly different game plan than usual?
No, we always look at what the opposition do. So, you know, we play how we play anyway. I think we go into the detail we go into is about what they do and how they do it. And we have to work out what's best for us. They're 2 strong players at the top of the pitch, so we've got to be mindful of that. They do make passes at the back, so they do want to try and, you know, they're not direct as people would probably think. They're not. They do make passes. We've got some really good players, you know, at the back, and they will make passes. They've got George Dobson in the middle of midfield as a pivot. He'll get on the ball. You know, got players, you know, O'Connell, who's his middle centre-back, who's a really good footballer. So they will make passes, so we've got to make sure that we, try and stop that, but also make sure that we're mindful of their attacking prowess at the top of the pitch as well, and be mindful of that as well. And, of course, in the middle, we have to make sure that we're doing our job as well.
Yeah. When you watched that Birmingham game, Wrexham, obviously you had Jay Stansfield. I think he cost something like 15 million. Is it another reality check of what you're competing against this year?
Yeah, I suppose so. Listen, they're 2 massive clubs, aren't they? Yeah. I mean, you look at Birmingham, they're a championship club, you know, and the way they played, they was championship level, you know. They were fantastic in the game, and they've got some really good players and some very, very good players, as have, you know, Wrexham. But I feel I've got good players as well. So, you know, whoever it is, we take on, and we're never going to go anywhere and try and get a draw or park the bus or, you know, what we're like. We'll go and play our way and try and play our way really well. If we play our way really well, no matter who we play against, I fancy us. And that's the way we've got to attack all these games.
Yeah. We've seen a couple of players go out on loan this week, Anthony and Jasper. How important is that for the player and for the club? And how do you monitor their progress at those clubs?
Yeah, really good question. Both of them have done fantastically well in training and throughout pre-season. You know, I think they're both really good lads, and they've worked extremely hard. If anyone was to come and watch Jasper in training, he's unbelievable. You literally cannot score against him. He's so good in the goal. You know, and he needs to go out and play, so it's important for him, for his development. And it's the same with Anthony. You know, he's come in, he's done really, really well, but we feel to develop him further, he needs to go and play football. Is his football going to be limited with the first team? Possibly. You know, so we have to be fair and to manage him properly in terms of his development, and I think that he will be better for that. How do we manage that? Well, we watch his clips back. We'll sit down with him. We'll make sure that he comes in. Both of them come in training with us still. You know, Maidstone are kind of like a hybrid training schedule, so that means that we can still see Anthony coming in and being with us and being around us. We still keep his gym program going, and of course we want to look at the analysts looking at clips and see if we can get his games back where we can sit down and go through his clips with him and talk about how we see his performance. Of course, it's always different when you go to another club because they play different. You know, I know Anthony played as a double pivot, which he's not played that for us, which is good for his learning as well. But obviously they play probably a lot different from what we do, but it's good for his development.
Yeah, excellent. And we've seen Mike Williamson leave MK Dons for Carlisle today. Your name is straight there at the top of the betting odds. I know you can't control that, but I just wondered what your thoughts on that are, and it's a good job for someone, isn't it, MK Dons?
My thoughts are that my full focus is here. You know, whilst you're getting linked to jobs, I think that proves that you're doing something right. So it's kind of always a positive in many ways. But my full focus is here until I'm told otherwise. But yeah, I agree. I think it is a really good job for somebody. But yeah, listen, until I'm told otherwise, my focus is on this football club.
Brilliant. Thanks, Scott. Good
Thank
luck
you.
Saturday.
Gary?
Okay. Afternoon, Scott.
Hello, Gary.
Before we start talking about the game at Wrexham on Saturday afternoon, Scott, just wanted to get your thoughts and an assessment of the 5 games and League One as you've seen it so far, because you've won 2 games, drawn 1 and lost 2 games. Has it been any different to what you anticipated in the summer? Harder, easier, better sides, obviously, is what you're expecting. How's it been different?
I don't necessarily think that it's been harder or easier than I probably assessed, but what I have been pleased with is how we've played in the games. Potentially all of them playing well, apart from maybe one, Barnsley. I didn't think we did play very well in that game, but the others we did, and I've been really pleased with us. You know, whether that makes the league look weaker, it isn't weaker. It's just that we've actually done well, you know. So I've been pleased with us, but yeah, I think out of the 5 games, I think we've dominated every game in terms of possession. We've not scored enough goals for me. We've not created enough, but we're a work in progress. We've got players who are obviously capable of putting it in the net, but we've got to continue to work hard, and we've got to continue to understand that we need to improve in that area of our game. But yeah, I've been pleased. I think you know you look at the Wigan game, we definitely should have got something from that, and probably even a draw wouldn't have been enough. You know, I think we did enough to win that game. We didn't do enough to win it because we didn't put the ball in the net. But I think in terms of XG, in terms of how we possessed the ball, I think we did enough to win that game. Obviously, the Blackpool game we win, the Cambridge game we win, the Barnsley game I didn't think we played very well. I thought that we had. And to add to that, it was kind of off the back of we played Wigan, put so much effort into that long journey. The Tuesday night we played Brighton's, you know, at the Amex, and we put so much effort into that and played so well. And then the third game of that week was the Barnsley game, and that's when fatigue set in. And maybe my job is to, moving forward, will definitely be where I might need to make more changes than I did. So we're always learning, even myself. So. Yeah, but yeah, I think we've had a really good start to the campaign.
You've already been asked about the situation at MK Dons, and I don't want to dwell on it too much, but obviously there's been a managerial change there today. I don't quite think the Dons have recovered, because I think they lost in the playoffs, didn't they, at the back end of last year to some side or other. But it sort of highlights how much of a precarious position managers are in, doesn't it? I know Mike Williamson has made the decision himself to go to Carlisle. But a great season last year to get in the playoffs, and they haven't started that well this season. So do you think he's made that decision before the decision was made for him? That he was under pressure with the results not quite going the way that the side would have wanted so far this season?
I don't know. I don't know kind of what Mike's position was before he decided to leave. You know, that's up to him. You know, I know that maybe the results wasn't great or as positive as they wanted them to be. But that can quickly change around, can't it? You know, it's a long season. There's, you know, nearly 50 odd games in a campaign with the cup games and everything. So I'm sure if it had stayed, he'd have turned it around eventually, because he's got good players there. But are you in a precarious position? Well, you're in a results business. You know, it's got to be about results, and that's the, you know, the nature of the beast. And if you're not performing and not picking up the results, then maybe you do become under pressure. If you're, of the flip side of that, if you're winning and doing well and passing it and playing really well and keeping the ball but creating chances and you're not quite getting the results, then potentially you keep your job a bit longer because you're doing everything properly. And then the flip side of that again is if you're winning games, you get linked to every job going, which again is normal in football. It's just normal, you know. Everyone kind of like jumps on somebody being sacked as much as everybody jumps on every manager's moving on.
Moving on to Wrexham then, Scott, on Saturday afternoon, you've already talked about the fact that it's going to be very tough. They're 3 from 3 at home. They sit on the top of the table. They're looking for a 3rd consecutive promotion. You've already talked about the fact that you've got a young squad, a brand new squad, sort of in its infancy, always developing, always learning. Is it important that on Saturday afternoon with a large sort of partisan, very loud crowd behind Wrexham, that your young players don't go out and freeze and they actually adapt to the occasion?
Yeah, I think so, Gary. I think I think a lot of clubs probably turn up to Wrexham maybe already beat, because of what, the bits and pieces you've just spoke about. We won't be doing that. And also, I think, even if they don't turn up to be beat, there'll be individuals in the team that will be thinking, oh, we shouldn't win here anyway. And I think that's just natural. It's kind of natural sometimes where they look at the stadium, they look at the team they've got. Wrexham keep winning, they win at home a lot. And a lot of teams probably turn up there and be defeatist before the ball's been kicked. And also, like I say, individuals within that team may do. Listen, no one turns up to get beat. I understand that. But subconsciously, they probably do. We're not going to be doing that. I will make sure that we're all ready, to get a result from this game. And we're not going to be going there to draw the game either. We're going to go and try and win it. And we're going to be front foot. We're going to be as good with the ball as we can be, and we're going to try and win the game. And I think that it's my job to try and instill a belief in my players that anything and everything's possible in football. Is it possible to beat Wrexham away from home? Yeah, of course it is. It's a game of football.
You mentioned as well previously that it will be slightly different for your side because Wrexham will have lots of the ball. They will probably oversee more possession than Crawley will have. And I guess when Crawley get the opportunity to have the ball on Saturday, it's important that you make those moments count, isn't it? And you make that possession count.
No, I don't know if you heard that right. I think we'll have more of the ball than them. I don't think there'll be many teams that have more of the ball than we do. In any game we play, even the likes of Birmingham City, Huddersfield, they won't have more of the ball than us. That's what I think, and I think Saturday will be the same. I think we'll have all the ball. I think that they play actually without the ball quite well. I think that they're ready for you to make mistakes with the ball, and they pounce really well. They're very dangerous without it, actually. But no, I think we'll have all the ball.
And when you look at their side at the moment, Scott, because I've been sitting doing my research this morning, they generally start with the front two of Palmer and Marriott, but then they've got the option of bringing on Fletcher and Mullin off the bench. It's an incredible squad depth, isn't it, that they've got at Wrexham?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we was talking about that today at training. Who do you think they'll play? And they could start with either or. Albeit Marriott's been scoring in a lot of the games, if not all the games. Palmer's obviously an handful. Mullin's an handful. Fletcher's an handful. They've got, I think I mentioned it, they've got 3, but they haven't. They've got 4. You're right. They've got 4 really strong strikers who are capable of scoring goals and being a handful for our back line. But we've done a lot of work on that this week. We're ready. And if we do everything in terms of what we've worked on, we'll be fine.
And just to give us an update again, Scott, on where you currently are with the injuries, because we spoke about it after the game last Saturday against Stockport. Dion Conroy, Gavin Holohan, roughly how far away are they? Yeah,
Gav's really, really close now. He's trained pretty much fully all week. I think that it probably might be too soon for him to be included in the squad. But another week's training next week, and then we could see him kind of being in and around it, certainly. Dion's probably a little bit further away. He kind of comes back and then there's a bit of a relapse on it. So we've got to make sure that when he does come back, he is ready, and at the moment he's not.
And just finally, Scott, after we spoke last week as well, after the Stockport game, about the impact that the substitutes had. Obviously, Armando comes on, wins the penalty, scores the penalty. We spoke about Bradley Ibrahim. I guess these are the sort of problems that you like, aren't it, as a manager, from one Saturday to the next, that you've got these players now potentially knocking on the door to say, look, boss, this is what I did when I came on, and it gives you the sort of headache that you must like to have about the 11 that you picked for Saturday.
Yeah, I never have an headache because I think it's really clear to me what the team should look like every week, pretty much come Monday morning or even Sunday morning. Once I've watched the opposition who we're playing the next week, it isn't an headache. It's really clear. I did speak to the players at the start of the season, and I did say, look, there's going to be horses for courses. I think there's times when we need to rotate. There's times when we need to change. There's times when we need to, mix it up a little bit, especially at the top end of the pitch rather than the bottom end. You kind of want a bit of continuity in your defensive line, unless obviously you're shipping in goals week on week and there's an opportunity to make that better. Obviously, you have to. But yeah, I think it's really clear. But yeah, the players who come on definitely did themselves, a favour to get in the team, obviously. But that's down to me to make sure that I pick the right team against what is a strong opposition.
Thank you, Scott. Safe journey on Saturday.
Thanks,
I'll see you in North Wales.
Thank you, mate. Cheers, pal.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.